From the ballpark where dreams come true, the Louisville Slugger Sports Complex, Peterson Hotels Field, Joey Wright with Nicole Pfaff and Cameron Irwin after the Braves split a Tuesday doubleheader with the Redbirds of Illinois State. It was an 8-1 loss for Bradley in Game 1, a 9-1 win in Game 2. Guys, a lot to talk about. Nicole, let's start with you. Your thoughts from Game 1.
Game 1 ended not as hot as we thought we would, 8-1 ISU. The one score we ran was from Allison Apke's home run. We ended with 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error, which is surprising considering the score. But we did end the game not as, like I said, not as hot as we thought we would. But we would then come back here in the second game.
Yeah. Bradley, with some positives to take away in Game 1, and Cameron, they put him to use in Game 2. A huge bounce-back win as the Braves won it early, 9-1, didn't even play the full 7 innings.
And I think it began today with the pitching for Julie Kestis. Last home game, her pitch count got up very high, especially trying to paint the outside corner against Missouri State. Today, she just pounded the strike zone. She really controlled it from the first inning. Later in the game, got in that bases-loaded jam, but was able to get out of that with 2 outs. And as a result, only gave up 1 run today.
Absolutely. Illinois State only with 2 wins this season when they scored the first run. One of those was in Game 1. Bradley jumped out early and got the W in Game 2. And Nicole, you caught up with Coach Hayes after Game 2 to discuss how the day went down.
So first game was a little rough, and then you guys were able to bring it back here in the second game. How are you guys able to bring it back so perfectly and so great?
I just think it's a real testament to their resiliency and their trust in the process. I mean, I think you hear everybody say that, but it's very hard to do. And, you know, we got shook a little bit at UNI, and I feel like we carried it over a little bit into Game 1, and we needed to remember who we are and what our clock is and not run by anybody else's. So I'm extremely proud of them for the way they bounced back today.
And how are you going? You have another doubleheader coming up this Saturday. How are you going to prepare the girls for this next doubleheader?
Well, I think this was the lesson that is going to prepare them. You know, if you don't show up every day at practice, and if you don't show up here every day, and you keep the consistency that you need to be a good ball player, you know, I mean, I think that's what this taught us today. Like, it taught us that we need to be consistent in every aspect of our game, and good things are going to happen. And I'm really proud of the way they trusted it and just got after it in Game 2.
Guys, some candid thoughts from Coach Amy Hayes after Game 2. Nicole, your take.
As seen in the interview that we just saw, Coach Hayes was not very happy with the play that the girls were in the first game. She was very proud with how they were able to come back in the first game here, and I don't think she could be any prouder, and I'm sure she's going to expect that same type of gameplay moving forward here.
And I think for this Bradley team, record really can't be something that you focus on. Illinois State now, after this doubleheader, 13-31. The teams they played early in this preseason really pushed them to play well in the Missouri Valley Conference. Ranked teams like Florida, Big Ten teams like Purdue. I mean, record really doesn't matter now in the Missouri Valley Conference. It's all about the opponents you face. And going up against a team like Indiana State, though record-wise they are better, I'd say play-wise, they're about the same as Illinois State. If Bradley comes out and plays strongly like they did in that second game, both games against Indiana State, they should come away with the sweep of that series as well.
Absolutely, and Cameron, the Valley's so wide open this year. Really, anyone can come out and beat anyone on a given basis if you come out and play your games. We see that in Major League Baseball, too. You know, even the bottom feeders in the standings can take down the Red Sox and Astros and your front runners if they play well on a given basis. Now, Cameron, you and I caught up with Bradley first baseman Allison Apke, the Braves' all-time leader in home runs following the second game. Here's what she had to say with us earlier this evening. Now joined on the set by Allison Apke. Allison, a big home run in the first game and a 1-for-3 performance in Game 2. Walk us through what was going through your mind today.
Every at bat, I just go up to the plate trying to hit the ball hard. I know that if I put a good swing on the ball, that it's going to go. So
there you go. Bradley, of course, you guys lost in Game 1 pretty decisively, but then Game 2 was about the complete opposite of that. What was going through the team's mind? What did maybe Coach Hayes say to you guys in between games that generated such a large turnaround?
We knew that we had to bounce back and play better than the first game, obviously, if we wanted a better outcome. And Coach Hayes just told us that we can't dwell on the past and that we have to turn the page and know that we can play the game that we can play.
Game 1, Illinois State pitching came out real hot. How does it feel for you to be able to hit that home run, sort of give your team the spark and the first hit of the game?
Really, I was just looking for a good pitch to hit. She threw one inside over the plate, and that's kind of where I like it. So I did my best just to get something happening and get the game going.
Absolutely. And now earlier this season, you became Bradley's all-time leader in home runs. Walk us through that a little bit. Maybe what were you feeling leading up to the milestone, and then when you hit that, did you just feel even more confident walking up to the plate every time?
Well, actually, tying the home run record, I really wasn't aware that I had actually tied it. I kind of sat there tying it a little bit, tied it with Kaylia. We were both there, and it felt really good to finally get the one that put me ahead and knowing that my hard work has paid off.
Going off that home run record that you have, is there any sort of pregame routine, maybe like a walk-up routine that you consistently do?
Me personally, I don't really have anything special that I do. When I go up to the batter's box, I do the same routine every time, and that's just kind of something that I've developed since I've been playing softball my whole life.
And kind of going off of that, your walk-up song, I regret that I can't recall it off the top of my head, but what went into choosing that, and what does it mean to you when you hear that song coming up to the plate?
I just chose it because it has a good vibe, and it just talks about, it says bang bang, and I like to hit the ball hard, so it just sounds cool, and it's just something that gets me kind of pumped up. So
could you pick another song from another player that might so I guess what I'm trying to say, your favorite walk-up song other than yours? Put you on the spot with that one.
Oh God. I really like Vicky Zalewski's. It's by Greta Van Fleet. It's one of our favorite songs. We always jam out to it, so it's a good one.
Favorite pitch to hit, what is it?
A screwball.
There you go.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
And I'll bring it back here. So the screwball usually breaks away from you, correct? Well, no, towards you. Screwball breaks in.
Oh, God.
I guess depending on, okay.
Yeah. From a righty, yeah. It'll come in.
Sure.
Off speed. I guess the question then.
I don't play softball.
The question then is off speed in general. Do you look normally for off speed on what count?
It kind of depends on the pitcher, but if I see an off speed play over the pitch, I'll swing at it majority of the time. But I do as long as you have your timing right on it, you can hit it a long ways.
Sure. And as a hitter at the plate, how do you adjust maybe to a pitcher who's trying to change your speeds up? Because obviously every pitcher has different sequences that they like to go through, but what's it like maybe getting a fastball and then something off speed and back and forth through that?
It's really just kind of seeing the changeup and waiting back as long as you can. And if you keep getting it, and it's better just to foul it off than to let it go by. So it's do you take what you get,
Absolutely.
I guess going back to the last homestand then, I'm thinking Stephanie Dickerson, who is such a dominant pitcher in the Missouri Valley Conference, and you had a couple hits off her as well. What was your approach going up against a pitcher like that?
Every at-bat's pretty much the same. I try to go up there, put a good swing on it, and it doesn't really matter who's in the circle. You just got to make sure your timing's right and that you're looking for something to hit over the plate.
Cameron, a fun interview that was with Allison Apke, now Bradley's all-time leader in home runs. She's only a junior. What did you take away from that interview?
Allison, first of all, she's a hitter when she steps up to the plate. She is a threat to go yard every time. She did so in the first game. A double in the second game, 1 for 3 both games, 2 for 6 today in the series. And she's a confident hitter, and she showed that. She knows exactly what she's looking for to hit when she goes up to the plate. She has the same routine over again. Allison is she's an experienced player. She's a junior for this Bradley team, as you said. She can hit the ball well, and Bradley really relies on her too.
Yep. And Cameron, she's part of the middle of the order for Bradley, and really the whole order for Bradley. They can all hit the ball pretty well. You look at her, Kaylia Wysocki, Lucy Mead going through a bit of a slump right now, but she's still the number 3 player on the team when it comes to batting average. This whole lineup can hit the ball well, and I think that's what makes them such a fun team to watch, knowing that they can hit the ball with anyone in the country.
And I think even more dangerously, Wysocki doesn't play every game. She comes off the bench. Katie Abril is your starting catcher. Wysocki occasionally plays designated player, but she's a threat to come off the bench, and she's hit over 8-9 home runs this season off the bench, which is impressive for such a Bradley softball team.
Absolutely. And Nicole this Bradley team, we talk about home runs. That's really what I was getting at when I said they can hit with anyone in the country, because you look at what they were doing earlier this season. They were knocking them over the fence on just a crazy pace. Power is really the name of the game for Bradley softball.
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, as you mentioned earlier, Allison Apke hit a beautiful homer straight down the middle, right out of there. And then in the second game, we saw Kalia Wysocki hit a homer as well. I'm definitely excited to see some more home runs just like that in the future. I know we've seen home runs just like that in the past. We did see Kalia Wysocki also hit the board one game. I'm hoping to see more of that as well.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that, in fact, against Missouri State. Don't remember which game of the series it was, but, Kalia hit one halfway up the scoreboard. I mean, this team, all the bats, when they get going, they're tough to shut down. I think the only way for the opposing teams to shut them down would be if they came out dressed like Cameron. Maybe if they wore something like that, it could throw the hitters off their game. But a fun team to watch.
And I think that's what you mentioned, is when they get going, and that's the problem. They have games like today where they'll score 1 run, 3 hits. Or they'll have games like the second game today where they score 9 runs. If pitching can control Bradley, it's dangerous in terms of scoring runs and winning games for them. But when they're hot, man, are you right, they are hot.
Yeah, and guys, I think that the Missouri Valley Conference this season is it's pretty wide open. I mean, there are your teams at the top. You look at Drake, that a lot of people would pick to win the tournament, but then you look through the whole conference, there's not a ton of drop-off between Drake and what you would call the bottom feeders of the conference at the bottom of the standings, but I really don't think bottom feeders is even a fair term. I think that there's a lot of parity in the conference this year. It's all kind of one big pack, kind of like what we saw with the Missouri Valley Conference basketball tournament. Anyone could kind of emerge at the end of the season and win it.
No, yeah, definitely. ISU and Indiana State here are currently at the bottom of the conference, but there's still plenty of time for them to come back, just like you said here at the MVC basketball. I mean, Bradley was definitely they were 5th seed, and they came back to win the MVC conference against beating Loyola and then beating Uni.
And UNI, real quick to jump on that, was a 6th seed, so it was a 5 and 6 seed in the title game.
Definitely, and you never know, especially in sports, like anything can really happen. ISU could definitely come back. They have a lot of potential. Indiana State, although they are at the bottom of MVC, they could make a Cinderella story here.
And going off that, a lot of these teams in the Missouri Valley Conference play very tough preseason schedules. If you look at Bradley, they played teams like Oregon, Tennessee, Virginia, Louisville, big-time schools with very big softball programs. And speaking with Coach Amy Hayes earlier this season, she said she likes to sort of schedule her team that way, to give herself some sort of power play early in the preseason, before bringing her team into the Missouri Valley Conference.
Absolutely. So now looking ahead, Nicole, you mentioned Indiana State. That's who Bradley draws this weekend, 2 games on Saturday. 1 game on Sunday. Bradley on Saturday will honor the 2009 Missouri Valley Conference champions, and then on Sunday, it's senior day for the seniors on this Bradley team. Going to be a lot of emotions here at Peterson Hotels Field this weekend.
For sure. I mean, this 2009 Bradley softball team, as it says behind my left shoulder, they were the first team to make the NCAA tournament and the first team to win the MVC tournament. I mean, they're a staple in Bradley softball history.
Nicole, senior day on Sunday, that's always an emotional day. Any level of any sport, whether it's high school tennis, college football, there's always going to be some emotion on senior day.
Oh, of course. Senior day is probably everybody's favorite, but yet something that they're dreading. I mean, for the seniors, they're probably thinking this is their one game that matters the most because it's senior day. It's honoring them. So there's a possibility that these seniors could potentially feel a lot of pressure. I know in any sport that's how they might feel. But it's also exciting because it's like, they're about to graduate. This is their last year here on the team, and it's just time to make the best of it.
Absolutely. So in a word, bittersweet senior day. I think that's the perfect way to
Definitely.
describe it. Going back to that 2009 Missouri Valley Conference Championship team, 2009 was 10 years ago. Isn't that kind of crazy to think about? I would have been 9.
I would have been 9.
Yeah.
It's 9. Yeah.
So that would 4th grade, 3rd and 4th grade would have been 2009. Man, where does the time go?
And I think on top of that, this Bradley team, the 2009 team was the first team, but they propelled the 2014 team, who also made the College World Series for softball. I mean, there's a legacy here with this softball team, every 5 years, if you look at that, 2009 to 2014, 2014 to 2019, this could be Bradley's year.
Yeah, if you're a Bradley fan, they say 3 is a magic number, perhaps 5, the magic number on the hilltop for the Bradley softball team this season. So that'll about do it for us here on the set. Peterson Hotels Field at Louisville Slugger Sports Complex. Again, the Bradley Braves drop one to Illinois State 8-1, bounce back, and then a 9-1 win to close out the day. So for Cameron Irwin, Nicole Pfaff, Ashley Sasso, and Tim Rushi behind the camera. Also a thank you to Chef Tech for our videos today. That will do it for us. The Bradley Braves split a Tuesday doubleheader with Illinois State. We'll have more this weekend as the Braves host the Sycamores of Indiana State. Thanks for watching.